Good evening. I'm Ed Berger, president of Hutchinson Community College, and it gives me pleasure to welcome you to another edition of the HCC Experience. It's an opportunity for us to talk to the community and introduce to the community some of the outstanding faculty and staff that we have at our institution, and perhaps get a little bit of an update as to some of the exciting things that are happening. Tonight's guest is Dr. Charlene Widener, and Dr. Widener is chair of the Fine Arts Department at Hutchinson Community College, and has also been a faculty member at Hutch Community College before becoming department chair. How long have you been at the college, Charlene?
This is my 10th year at HCC.
And really before that, because you were a student at Hutchinson Community College.
I was here from 1989 to 1991. And in fact, right after the new Fine Arts building, we were the first class that graduated after that building opened.
So you were here in '89, and I think we opened that building in 1988, as I recall. Yeah. And of course, we had an open house, a rededication of the Recital Hall, and that rededication really kind of commemorates the fact that it has been a wonderful facility for the community, a wonderful facility for the college, and literally, I suppose, maybe thousands of events have been held in that period of time, and probably tens of thousands of people in Reno County and South Central Kansas, and students have gotten to enjoy that facility.
Absolutely, and in fact, we have the governor in there usually for Governor's Day during the fair every year, and so it's not just students, not just our community members, but opened up statewide. We've had people, and literally artists in there working from across the United States.
You know, just talking a little bit about that facility, it is a facility that seats about 475 probably.
It
Pretty
seats
close.
A little bit less than that now because when we revamped it, we set up new wheelchair seating that meets the ADA requirements, and as a result of that, we're at about 440 right now.
About 440. But really that serves our needs perfectly.
Absolutely.
It's a great venue for the community too. I know we have so much community use of that facility because it isn't huge. It isn't like a Fox Theater that seats probably 800 to 1,000 people. It isn't like Convention Hall where you have a huge hall with not much intimacy. It provides a nice intimate environment for productions.
In fact, for the size of it, it's very intimate. When you first walk in there and you look out, it does not appear to seat that many people. And so it's a lovely facility. We're very fortunate to have that.
And I guess what I appreciate as I get a little older and hearing becomes a little bit more of an issue for me, the acoustics are good in that facility as well.
Absolutely. And the intimacy of it helps that quite a bit. And I think the acoustics might even be better because although we didn't revamp the sound walls or anything like that, we repainted them, moved some things around in there. So I think the acoustics might even be better with this revamping of the theater.
That's wonderful. We've had a naming project going on in that we have allowed people to buy a seat, a scholarship seat in the Recital Hall, and that still goes on. I mean, even though we're had the rededication, why that scholarship seat opportunity is still available.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about what that involves and how they might go about purchasing a seat in the Recital Hall, Charlene.
There's, for each of the seats, there is a little space for a nameplate, and we've ordered some engraved nameplates for the individuals. We've had about 105 right now already purchased seats, and so we ordered engraved nameplates and put those on the seats in the center section in the very front of the theater, unless the person asked for a seat in some other section, and then we put the names in those sections. If someone is still interested in being a donor and purchasing the nameplate of a seat, I want to be clear about that, just the nameplate on that seat, they could contact the president's office. Lori Sawyer there is managing that for us, and all of the money that's donated is going to scholarships.
Goes into the Endowment Association?
Yes.
Not just scholarships, but scholarships from the arts at Hutchinson Community College. So again, it's a great opportunity. It's tax deductible. Just go ahead and contact our office, and we can get you all set. We'll have a little form for you to fill out to make sure we get your name exactly right on the chair. And I think people need to recognize also that they're buying the nameplate as you suggest, and that doesn't say you've got a reserved seat.
Absolutely.
There could very well be somebody sitting in your seat, and we don't expect you to shoo them out.
Yeah, yes, and we hope that you do not, that you are just purchasing that nameplate and essentially supporting scholarships at HCC, which we really do appreciate.
Yeah, we've always had such a great tradition in the arts at Hutchinson Community College, and this facility certainly underscores that. It's hard for us to think back to that time when that building wasn't available, when people were in the basement of Lockman Hall with limited or no facilities. And we had Lockman Auditorium, which is just basically a big hall that was intended for a library. We built Lockman back in 1938, 37. So it's come a long way. It's changed dramatically as far as facilities.
You know, I've heard a lot of stories about Lockman Hall and doing performances over there from some of our faculty who were around when we did that. But those things are just old stories for me, because I've been very fortunate to have only been at HCC with this new facility. And it is a state-of-the-art facility, and it's a facility that a lot of four-year colleges have nothing that is similar to what we have. A lot of their theaters are much larger or tend to be smaller black boxes, and so it's a very unique theater. We're fortunate to have it.
You know, how important is a facility like the Stringer Fine Arts Building? How important is that when you're trying to recruit faculty to come to Hutchinson Community College?
Well, the facilities, where those people are going to be working, where they're going to be performing and having their students perform, we want those facilities to at least be equal to what those students would have at another college if they chose to attend that. And actually, our building helps us a great deal in recruiting. In fact, I will often say to admissions when they're helping me with a student, I say to them, get that student on campus. I want to show them our facility. I want to show them where we work. Because if we are able to do that, probably 80% of the time we'll get that student to come to HCC.
You know, that is the number. If we can get a student on campus, have that student take a campus tour, see the facilities, talk to a faculty person, 80% of those students do in fact go ahead and enroll.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised by that, because compared to the facilities in other places across the states, we are certainly equal, and in a lot of places our facility is much nicer than what those students would be working at there.
You know, certainly the facility is central to student recruitment, but faculty recruitment too.
Absolutely, because the faculty members are that's where they're going to be performing, and many of us do tend to be student-centered, and we're going, well, this is what the space we want for our students. But you're right, it makes a huge difference when we have a renovated auditorium as compared to something that's old and falling apart, and the faculty members going, I don't see myself working there.
I know. When it was amazing to me that we had outstanding faculty when we still had the program in Lockman Hall. And it was amazing to me that we had the ability to recruit great faculty when they didn't have facilities. And to me, I think if I'm a faculty person going into an institution and they haven't made an investment in the facility, that tells me they're not very serious about the program or the arts in this case.
Absolutely. And in fact, when I came back and interviewed for the director of theater position, which is the position I had before I became department chair, I knew what our facilities were like, and I had also had some experience teaching at other colleges, knowing what those facilities could be like. And so the fact that we do have a space that is prepared and that is ready for me to teach in and ready for me to do performances in means a great deal. It meant a great deal for me as far as the recruiting aspect of me coming back.
You know, when we talk about faculty at our college, certainly you're an example of that wonderful faculty. The faculty you have in your department, we have a couple of new faculty persons in your department. Kind of talk about the faculty you have, the experience they have, and the areas that they have responsibility for, and really what the Fine Arts Department encompasses.
We do have two new faculty members. Let me start off by talking about the programs in our department. We have theater, we have broadcasting, we have music, art, and we have religion and philosophy. And outstanding, really outstanding faculty in all of those areas. We do have two new faculty members. Deidre Enns-Maddox is our new director of theater. And like me, Deidre is an HCC grad. She was here, she was actually here from 1988 to 1990 and was here when the new building opened. The new Fine Arts building was opened. And so she is thrilled to be back and be a part of the rededication. And then the other new faculty member is Steve Traylor. And Steve Traylor actually comes to us from Wyoming. He was teaching in Wyoming, and knowing he had been here, he came as a guest artist for our jazz program, which is what his position is, director of jazz music, and loved it. Loved the college, loved the facility, and was very excited to have the opportunity to apply for a position. And Steve accepted the position without coming back on campus. We did some phone interviews with him, we interviewed him via Skype, but he didn't come back on campus because he already knew what our facility was
Sure, he'd
like.
been there as a clinician.
Yeah, and he said, I know what you guys have to offer, and he appreciated that. But we also have great faculty. Broadcasting, for example, we have Lori Moody, and Lori's been with us, I think, probably 4 or 5 years now, has really done an outstanding job with the broadcasting program, has increased enrollment by 5-fold, so really wonderful work for her. We have some music faculty that have been with us for quite a long time. Many people in the community probably know Jeff Pelichek and Neil Olsop and Priscilla Hearn, and they continue to do good work with us.
Now, what are their responsibilities? You mentioned Lori having responsibility for broadcast. Jeff Pelichek is
Symphonic band.
symphonic bands, does a pep band also.
He does, yes. And Priscilla Hearn teaches piano, which is very important to us because you must have piano classes to have a or to have a music major, and so that's really great for our program. And then Neil does vocal music.
And then you have, of course, Steve Trilly, you mentioned.
Yes, and then yes, he's our fourth.
That pretty much
music.
covers the performing arts side.
It does. And then we have visual arts, and on that side we have 3 full-time art faculty. Jerry Griffin does 3D, primarily art. Scott Brown is 2D art. He does graphic design and things like that. And then Teresa Preston teaches our history classes, and she also teaches jewelry.
And we have nice studios for the
yes, well-equipped
for the
studios.
visual arts as well. We have those studios on the north side with a lot of north light, which makes those great areas for painters.
And what's great about those studios is that they are dedicated studios. So it's not some place where painting goes in and they can paint for a few hours and then they have to tear everything down because another class is coming in there. It is a studio dedicated to the visual arts. And so as a result of that, it gives them a lot more freedom. It gives their students more freedom.
And one of our veteran instructors, Roy Swanson, retired, but still teaches part-time for us.
Yes, he's teaching the painting class for us, so we're glad to have him. You know, it would have been very sad to see him go if he had just retired and left us. So thrilled to have him.
Then kind of on a different train in the religion philosophy, you have Charles Carson.
We do have Charles Carson. Charles, I think, has been with us for about 5 years as well, and has been doing great work in that program. Those numbers have been up in our religion classes, in Death and Dying, and Intro to Philosophy, as well as Ethics. He's done a lot of online development for us for that program, and so really wonderful work.
You know, when you look at strong faculty makes exciting things happen, and Teresa Preston is an example of that with her African Art Institute that we just finished up this summer.
Yes, and I was really glad that I got an opportunity to be part of that. We had 4 artists come in from Ghana. We had a weaver, we had a bead maker, a pottery maker, and a bronze caster was the 4th artist. And then they created this institute and brought in artists from across the United States to work with those 4 artists. And it lasted for 2 weeks here on campus. We had a reception, a real well-attended reception where people from the community had an opportunity to meet the artists. And actually, everyone in our department had the opportunity to come in and work with those artists and get to know them. It was a wonderful opportunity. You
know, what I really appreciated was the effort Teresa made to be so realistic in having the same environment that they had from the clay or the mud kiln that she had for the beads and the bronze. And the loom wasn't exactly what they had in Africa, because I think they used processed wood.
Right.
Over there, she said they kind of used just branches and whatever. But
yeah.
Loom also was something that they made, in fact, after they came to the United States.
They did, and out of found objects for the most part. So it was very interesting. You know, Jerry Griffin also helped out quite a bit with that Art Institute, and I think it was a great opportunity for our community.
I think it was too, and again, I appreciated the fact that she did everything to try to make it an authentic experience. And her vision was, she'd gone to Ghana, I suppose, how many? About 3 times?
Probably 3 times.
About 3 times, and one sabbatical, and she was looking to replicate the experience that she had here in this country, because many could not pick up and go to Ghana, so she brought the Ghanaians to them, and what a great idea. And it was very successful. Again, the natural kind of environment. I think the only thing that wasn't natural for the Ghanaians was the awful heat that we had while they were here.
And in fact, I had a chance to visit with some of them about that. They had been told before they left Africa that it was winter time here. And so, talk about a miscommunication. So when they got here, they didn't have the appropriate clothing because they expected it to be fairly cold. And so it was a real culture shock for them. But and in fact, most days were about 20 degrees hotter than what they are used to in Africa.
And I think we always think that Africa is going to be that 100-degree temperature, that kind of sweltering heat. It might be sweltering, but it certainly isn't going to be 100 degrees. It's going to be 80 degrees of
It's
sweltering.
not like Kansas in the summer.
That's right. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, in fact, that's one of the things I did appreciate about the Ghanaians coming. I learned so much from them while they were here. Teresa had the opportunity to travel there. She had learned from them and learned about their culture, and she thought, not everyone can come here and learn about them. And so what a great opportunity for the rest of us that she brought them back, brought them here, and gave us an opportunity to meet them and find out about where they live and their lives. And it helped certainly clear up some misconceptions for me. I learned a great deal from them.
I think the processes were something that I was just taken back. The loom, perhaps, more than anything else, because I thought, gee, we're talking one thread at a time here. And they did it so very quickly, and the cloth that was produced was absolutely beautiful.
Yes, and his hands, you could barely see his hands moving. He was going so fast.
Absolutely. And to recreate that in one of our labs was just amazing. And then, of course, the potter as well, the fact that she did a lot of the pottery work and didn't use a wheel. Just used her hands and went around the pot instead of the pot going around. I thought that was an amazing technique, and certainly something that I think is reflective of what their culture is, and
Absolutely.
certainly not having all of the mechanical tools we take so for granted here.
Yeah, and in fact, when I watched her put together, or to throw, I suppose that's probably not the word because she didn't actually throw, but I watched her make a few pots, and she literally stood up and was bent over and making the pots, and she walked around the pots as the wheel. Her body was the wheel, and it was stunning. I've never seen anything like it, but what a great opportunity.
And to lean over like that and to be working with her hands all day long, it was...
yeah, and she told me that she makes about 100 pots a day.
I know. The volume of that just was really amazing.
And she spends all that time bent over.
Absolutely.
I just can't even imagine.
So it was a great event for us.
It really was.
Great to have that kind of a cultural exchange here in Hutchinson, Reno County in Kansas. And again, we had participants from all over the country. So a wonderful way to put our Fine Arts Department on the map. I would like to take a little bit of a break now, and we'll kind of talk the second half of the show about the programs that are coming up, the events that are coming up in the Fine Arts Department, and some of those must-see kinds of activities that will be going on at Stringer. So, short break. We'll be back shortly. Well, welcome back to the HCC Experience. I'm Ed Berger, and our guest this evening is Dr. Charlene Widener. Dr. Widener is chairman of the Fine Arts Department, and we've talked about some wonderful events we've had and some of the faculty we have at Hutchinson Community College and the Rededication event that took place in the last of September. And I thought we might talk a little bit about some of those events you have coming up. I know you just finished up Proof,
Right.
A great production that had wonderful reviews.
And very well attended. Pretty serious production, but wonderful feedback from it, so we're glad to hear that.
And then you have coming up a number of everything from vocal to instrumental music.
Yeah, our next concert is October 14th, and that is Steve Traylor's first concert, our new Director of Jazz Studies, and so we're very excited about that, to give an opportunity for the community to come in and meet him and listen to his band. And then on the 20th of October, we have our first vocal jazz concert of the season, and the 28th of October, we have our first band concert of this school year. So a lot of things coming up in October.
So that's a symphonic band concert?
It is, yes.
That's a little earlier, doesn't he? Just usually have one in December?
And this year he's doing two.
Oh,
He'll have one in
wonderful.
October, yeah, and a second one in December, to give an opportunity for the community to come and see them more often.
And that's great. I know we have many opportunities to hear the vocal jazz group, and we have opportunities to hear the instrumental jazz group on frequent occasions. But to get the symphonic band together, it doesn't happen that often. So I'm really pleased to know that we're having two concerts.
Yes, we're very happy about that. And I think Jeff Palachuk is very excited about it as well. And then in November, we have our second theater production. It's an adaptation of a medieval morality play called Everyman. And it's actually been adapted by myself and Ryan Deal, another HCC faculty member, updated and with some additions that make it a little bit more modern. And so we're very excited about that. It'll be November 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Now, would that be the DeLoss V. Smith production?
It will be the DeLoss V. Smith production.
You might talk a little bit about, you are the DeLoss V. Smith Chair of the Arts. You might talk a little bit about DeLoss and what he has contributed to the college and also how important he is to that tradition of the arts in Hutchinson and Reno County.
He's very important to us in our department. You know, when I was a student here, I had the opportunity to meet him. He was a professional actor. He was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, very good friends with Marilyn Monroe, and after working in Hollywood, he came and he lived in Hutchinson. So as I was a student here doing theater, he would come to our productions and afterwards come up and tell us what a great job we had. And so we have this professional actor coming up and speaking to those of us who we've never done anything in theater before. So that was always very exciting. When he passed away, he established a trust, and part of that trust is supporting HCC theater and the HCC fine arts. And some of the things that we have benefited from is the fact that I do have an endowed chair. It's the DeLoss V. Smith Endowed Chair of the Performing Arts title, and so that trust supports money as far as keeping our program alive and thriving. And then the DeLoss V. Smith Foundation also provides fine arts scholarships every year. So we have 10 students who are on, who get tuition and book scholarships every year so that they can come and be a part of that fine arts tradition here at HCC.
You know, I think it might be important for our viewers, you kind of touched on something I think that is significant with the scholarship side and how vital that is for the success of the arts at Hutchinson Community College.
It really is. We require so much from our students, and it's not just that HCC requires so much, it's that the performing arts, the fine arts really require dedication from our students. It's very difficult for a student to be in rehearsals, whether it's with me or with Neil Alsop or Jeff Palachuk, to be in rehearsals for 3 hours a night, 5 nights a week, and have a full-time job and support themselves in college. And so the donor scholarships help bridge that gap. They make a huge difference in whether or not that student can do what they want to do. And the DeLoss V. Smith Foundation has been instrumental in helping us maintain that, as well as a number of other donors throughout the community. We have very generous people in Hutchinson and in Reno County, and we could not do what we do without them.
And I think it's important, if people want to make a contribution to the scholarship fund, they can talk to you or to Cindy Keast in the endowment office and talk about making a contribution to a particular kind of, and you can earmark it. You can identify it as something perhaps in the performing arts, perhaps in the visual arts, even if you want to go direct with theater, you can do that, or if you want to go directly to vocal
Band
music,
or-
whatever. I know we have some people who have earmarked scholarships for vocal music.
And in fact, even more specifically, let's say that it's important to you that this is a student who does very well in college, that they work hard at their classes as well as vocal music or whatever other activity they might be in. You can identify a specific GPA that that student must maintain to keep that scholarship. And there are some that do that as well. And the DeLa Smith has that. We want students there that are not only dedicated to the fine arts, but are dedicated to education and learning in general.
How do you see Hutchinson Community College Fine Arts fitting in with the community? I know we have many things going on in the fine arts in the community. You have the Fox, you have community theater. How do we fit in to the arts picture in Reno County?
I think for the size of our community, we are incredibly fortunate. There is a lot of availability of the fine arts, and not just performing arts. I mean, there's quite a lot of performing arts, but also visual arts, and the fact that there's the art center downtown, and they bring in artists, and they have a gallery there. So there is a lot of opportunity. I think that one of the things I like so much, though, about our community is that really in the fine arts, there are a lot of different roles that people play. And I'll use theater as a good example for that. We do have the Hutchinson Theater Guild. We have high schools in the area that do theater. There's also the Flag, the Family and Children's Theater down at the Flag. But each of those groups do something different, and they fit a different category or niche for our society. The Flag focuses on material that's appropriate for children and for families. The Theater Guild does a lot of comedic work, a lot of work that they think that the community will respond to. While at HCC, we really focus on preparing our students for going to four-year colleges. When we are looking at a season, we're thinking, what is K-State or Mizzou or Oklahoma State? What are those schools doing? Because those are the things that we need to be doing if we plan on our students going to those schools. And so while we all do very different work, we work well together, often work with the Theater Guild as far as borrowing costumes from them or vice versa. And so I think it's a really great relationship and great opportunities for the entire community as a result of it.
Have you seen some of our students laddering up through the Family Children's Theater into our program?
We do have some that do that. Probably a few every year that do that. And they have all of that experience behind them as they come into us.
So, which is tremendous value.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have a student who has had that kind of background training, and they come to us with a leg up, so to speak.
They do, and it also helps establish that commitment to the arts. If you come to HCC and you've never done theater before, then you don't know what to expect. But if you come from the Family Children's Theater or from the Theater Guild, they certainly know what they're going to be expected to do here.
So 2 big events coming up in October.
Yes.
October 14th.
3. October 14th is jazz, the jazz concert. The 20th is vocal music.
Jazz.
Yeah, actually, I think it's just a concert choir.
Okay.
And then the 28th is symphonic band. And then November will be Everyman.
And
the
tickets
10th,
for
11th.
those events are available
At the Fine Arts Center in the main office.
Okay, 665-3503.
That's correct.
And the cost for those events is typically about $7.
$7.
So, and most of them start at 7:30.
They all start at 7:30. We've gone
Which
to a
is-
universal time for fine arts.
Charlene, thank you very much for joining us on
Thank
the
you for
HCC
having me,
Experience.
Dr. Berger. I
It's
appreciate it.
Always a great opportunity for us to share the wonderful faculty and staff that we have at the college with the community. And thank you also to our viewers for being a part of the HCC Experience and your wonderful support for our institution. Thank you and good evening.